everybody again.
Good morning.
Welcome to the many people who have come today to support Parma Hospital through the 20th annual prayer breakfast. Welcome most especially to the doctors and nurses, administrators, and staff of Parma Hospital who have come here today in support of their colleagues. And special thanks go out to Reverend Paulus and his committee who have worked tirelessly and to put this event together, so we owe them applause. Reverend Paulus this morning said it was his greatest headache and his greatest joy. I came to the Parma area in 1968 to begin what would result, as Al said, a 33-year teaching career. In 1975, my wife and I met and formed a long-lasting relationship with Cleveland Browns football player Doug Deacon. Doug played left tackle for 14 years for the Cleveland Browns and since then has spent 23 years, as we all know, providing color commentary for the Browns radio broadcast. Doug was kind enough to write the foreword for the book, A Book of Prayer to the Heavens from the Stars. I have many, many Doug Deacon stories, but I'll just tell you two of them. In one of the Browns games in the early 1980s, quarterback Brian Sipe got really nailed when he was throwing a pass. He got his clock cleaned or his bell rung or whatever expression you want to use. And when he came back to the huddle, his eyes were glazed and he called the next play. And as the players broke from the huddle, Doug, who was captain at that time, told Brian, he said, "Brian, I think you want to call a timeout." Brian said, "Doug, why do we need to call a timeout?" He said, "Because, Brian, you just called a play we don't have." Might have been from Brian's college days or high school days or maybe even back to his midget pee-wee days, I don't know. But the other one, at the press conference when Doug announced his retirement, he said that he took great pride in the fact that no Browns quarterback had been blindsided while he was playing left tackle. Now, admittedly, again, as we all know, Doug would use any means necessary to keep an opposing player from getting to the quarterback he was assigned to protect. And occasionally, during a game, fans would hear the call, probably could do it all together here, holding number 73. And after he retired, Doug's self-deprecating humor led him to purchase the vanity license plate, Me Hold. Well, Doug enjoyed the license plate until one day one of his prankster friends down at the TV station blacked out with duct tape the H. So now, if you see Doug driving around town, notice his license plate, which reads, Me Help. Doug has enjoyed that plate for about 20 years now, and I guess no one's thought of blacking out the H and adding a little ER at the end there, but I don't want to cause any trouble. I am thrilled to be here today, and I have very, very many fond memories of Parma Hospital. The morning of my last day of teaching in 1999, I experienced some chest discomfort. Since my father died of a heart attack at the age of 50 in 1961, I didn't think I'd take the chance of starting my retirement and ending my life both on the same day. So I went to my family doctor, who, long story short, advised me to go to Parma Hospital. When I got to the hospital, all sorts of anxieties that you might well imagine were swirling in my mind. Then as I approached the admittance area, a woman from behind one of the desks called out, "Mr. Spinner, right over here." I asked that woman, "Oh my goodness, is my condition that serious that my doctor called ahead to see that I even made it to the hospital?" The woman responded, "No, Mr. Spinner. You see, my name is Leona Toth. And you see, you took great care of my three children when they each had you as a teacher in Normandy High School. Now we're going to take great care of you, no matter what your problem is. Come sit down and tell me what we can do for you." Wow. At that time, through a heart catheterization, it was determined that my left descending artery was 65% blocked. I was put on medication, advised the importance of exercise and proper diet. My condition was monitored every 6 months for the next 3 years. At that point, I was given an angio CAT scan. Parma Hospital at the time was one of only 5 hospitals, I understand, in all of Ohio to have such advanced testing. But that new technology available here at the Parma Cardiac Care Center showed that I now had major blockage. Actually, it was 99% blockage in that left descending artery. Now, I was introduced at the time to Dr. Berman, Gerald Berman, who performed another heart cath procedure. Dr. Berman, who is now my primary heart care doctor, said that I was a very lucky man. That artery, I learned, is called the Widowmaker, and for good reason. I could have very likely died had this condition gone undetected. Dr. Burma also said that I was very lucky because the blockage was on a main road and not an intersection. Excuse my technical medical term. The doctor was therefore able to put in a heart stent and said that I could live to be 100, and that possibly then I just might get to see the Cleveland Indians win a World Series. You can imagine that I was more than a little emotional when they wheeled me out of that procedural room. And I am not embarrassed to say that I had some tears in my eyes. You see, my dad, our dad, never lived to celebrate his 25th wedding anniversary, didn't live to see his wonderful, precious grandchildren as I have. I've had both of those opportunities. And Dr. Burma, if you knew just how much I love our two grandsons, Caleb and Joshua, you'd know just how deep my appreciation is for you and your staff. The care I've received at Parma Hospital has been incredible. Now, you don't necessarily find that total professionalism everywhere. My wife and I have moved to Lake Chautauqua, New York, and we've encountered there generally outstanding doctors and staff. However, every once in a while, I long for the experience that I have come to expect at Parma. Case in point, 2 years ago, I went to the local hospital in New York for a TURP procedure. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a surgery that enlarges the urinary tract. Well, obviously, I was more than a little bit anxious about this procedure. And at the hospital, a couple days before the surgery, I engaged in some nervous small talk with the young nurse who was going to oversee my pre-op exam. She had only been working at the hospital for several months, and she asked me what procedure I was going to have. When I told her I was going to have a TURP procedure, she said, "Oh my God." I replied, "Could I make a little suggestion here?" Then I went on to suggest a reply that perhaps would relay a more comforting reassurance. "Well, we do a lot of those here." "Well, you'll be just fine." Just about anything other than, "Oh my God."